Our top story tonight, American service members killed in an ambush in Syria. 3 Americans dead and President Trump vows retaliation against ISIS. More on what happened. The Israeli military says an architect of the October 7th attack has been killed. Hamas's response. The first TPUSA America Fest without founder Charlie Kirk approaches, and some states are pushing for the expansion of its conservative clubs. We speak with a TPUSA contributor about what this all means for the conservative movement. And in college football, it's the Heisman Trophy presentation with a certain Indiana star looking to make school history. NTD's Dave Martin joins us to discuss.
This is NTD Evening News, live from our global headquarters in New York City.
Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Arlene Richards. Brown University in Rhode Island is reporting an active shooter situation. The school's alert system sent out the warning saying shots fired and shelter in place. Just minutes ago, police in Providence reported that multiple people have been shot and the school sent an alert that the situation is ongoing. Officials initially said a suspect was in custody before saying that was not in fact the case and that police were still searching for a suspect or suspects. The university has called on students to lock doors, silence phones, and stay hidden until further notice. President Trump says he's been briefed on the situation. We'll be giving you updates on this story as it develops. An attack against American forces in Syria today. The Pentagon says 2 American soldiers and a civilian interpreter were killed in an ambush by an ISIS gunman. Here's the president's response.
So we mourn the loss of 3 great patriots in Syria. You know how it happened, an ambush, terrible. We also have 3 wounded. They seem to be doing pretty well. But we mourn the loss. These are 3 great people. And it's just a terrible thing. Syria, by the way, was fighting along with us. The new president of Syria is, as they told me, and I was not surprised, he's devastated by what happened. This was an ISIS attack on us and Syria.
Trump added that the U.S. will retaliate. Secretary of War Pete Hegseth said that partner forces killed the ISIS shooter. Syrian state news agency Sana, citing a security source, reported that 2 Syrian service members were also wounded in the attack without giving further details. U.S. Central Command said the identities of the service members will be withheld until 24 hours after their next of kin have been notified. We'll bring you more updates on this story as it develops. From cultural celebrations in D.C., intensified diplomacy abroad, and new immigration policies, it's been a busy week for the Trump administration. NTD's Daniel Monahan has your White House week in review.
President Trump hosted the Kennedy Center honors, which recognized Sylvester Stallone, Gloria Gaynor, the rock band Kiss, George Strait, and Tony Award winner Michael Crawford.
They've raised our sights and lifted our spirits and touched our hearts.
The president also traveled to Pennsylvania for a rally, highlighting the economy and efforts to lower the cost of living, including on energy.
It was just reported that 4 states had $1.99 a gallon.
In national security news, U.S. forces seized a large sanctioned oil tanker off the coast of Venezuela.
The Department of Justice requested and was approved for a warrant to seize a vessel because it's a sanctioned shadow vessel known for carrying black market sanctioned oil to the IRGC.
On Thursday, President Trump and the First Lady hosted the White House Congressional Ball, where the president emphasized bipartisan cooperation on issues like health care.
Tonight, we're going to set aside all political differences. We're not going to criticize each other. We're going to love each other.
I hope you will be excited to support my new legislative initiative in 2026.
I don't know what it is she's doing, but I know it's going to be great for children.
The administration officially launched its new immigration gold card.
It's somewhat like a green card, but with big advantages over a green card.
It will fast-track visas for certain immigrants in exchange for a $1 million fee. Turning to border enforcement, the U.S. has agreed to purchase 6 Boeing 737 commercial passenger aircraft for deporting illegal immigrants for about $140 million. Homeland Security says more than 2.5 million illegal immigrants have left the U.S. since January, calling it a record-breaking achievement.
What keeps me up at night is that we don't necessarily know all of the people that are in this country, who they are and what their intentions are.
20 House Republicans joined Democrats in approving legislation that would overturn President Trump's executive order restricting most unions representing federal employees.
The Protect America's Workforce Act would overturn President Trump's executive order from March that ended collective bargaining rights for roughly 1 million Americans.
Ukraine delivered an updated 20-point peace proposal to the U.S., President Zelensky saying the final mile is the hardest. The White House says the president is extremely frustrated with both sides in the Ukraine war.
He doesn't want any more talk. He wants action. He wants this war to come to an end.
Tensions in Asia. After joint exercises conducted by Chinese and Russian strategic bombers near Japan, U.S. strategic bombers joined a fleet of Japanese fighter jets in a military exercise. And the U.S. trade deficit fell to just under $53 billion in September, the lowest since mid-2020, driven by strong export growth. The White House says it's further evidence that President Trump's America First trade agenda is delivering results. Daniel Monahan, NTD News.
Healthcare at the center of discussions on Capitol Hill this week. Senators voted on dueling proposals from Democrats and Republicans. Now members of the House are moving a plan of their own. NTD's Melina Weisskopf has your weekly roundup from the U.S. Congress.
Lawmakers are racing the clock to find a path forward on health insurance policy, as COVID-era Obamacare subsidies are set to expire in less than 3 weeks.
We need to do triage, and the first thing is to face the emergency that millions of Americans face when these tax credits disappear.
Democrats are pushing to extend the enhanced subsidies for 3 more years. Republicans, though, are eyeing a way to phase out Obamacare, starting with creating health savings accounts for Americans.
The Republican plan is to put the money into the patient's pocketbook so that she has money to pay for the insurance out of pocket.
In back-to-back votes, senators failed to advance proposals from either party. Now House Republicans are pushing a plan of their own.
A package come together that will be on the floor next week that will actually reduce premiums for 100% of Americans who are on health insurance, not just the 7%.
The House package aims to expand association health plans, lower premiums for certain Obamacare enrollees, and lower drug costs. Though some Republicans still want to extend Obamacare subsidies for a short stint.
Certainly, I'm in favor of PBM reform, health savings accounts, association healthcare plans, various other ideas. Are any of those things going to become law and help people by the time of this cliff that's coming at the end of the year? No.
House lawmakers also approved the $900 billion national defense bill this week. Priorities include a pay raise for service members, military aid for Ukraine, and restricting investments in China. Also in the House, an attempt to impeach President Trump failed.
Essentially, we've said impeachment is a serious issue. It requires a serious process, and that process was missing.
As controversy continues to mount over the Trump administration's strikes on drug boats, lawmakers probed the Chinese Communist Party's involvement with gangs in Latin America.
We see CCP and PRC working directly with Chinese criminal groups that exist in Mexico to bring those chemicals in, help production of fentanyl and methamphetamine, and then directing those drugs towards our country.
The experts revealed that the networks have laundered $312 billion over the past 4 years for Mexican cartels and wealthy Chinese individuals.
Chinese criminal networks are building a Silk Road of crime that stretches from Fujian province to Flushing, Queens, New York, San Gabriel Valley, California, and beyond.
In a separate event on Capitol Hill, several organizations joined the China Human Rights Fair, showcasing the atrocities of the Chinese regime.
The Chinese regime is the only regime in the world that's harvesting organs from its own citizens.
Several groups in China, like Tibetans and Uyghur Muslims, are victims of forced organ harvesting, with Falun Gong practitioners being the main target.
Falun Gong practitioners, who I have known for a very long time, simply for exercising their religious freedom. Chinese government are afraid of them because there is very significant number. And so we just need to keep up with our pressure.
The groups called for more congressional action to address these atrocities still taking place in China. Reporting from Washington, D.C., Melina Weisskopf, NTD News.
The Israeli military announced today that it's killed a Hamas commander, one of the architects of the October 7th attack. The Israel Defense Forces said they successfully targeted Ra'ad Saad. They also identified him as the head of weapons production for Hamas and one of the last remaining veteran senior militants in the Gaza Strip. In their own statement, Hamas's media wing did not confirm Saad's death, but said a civilian vehicle had been hit in Gaza City. Hamas accused Israel of undermining the ceasefire agreement in the Gaza Strip, which went into effect in October. Both sides have repeatedly accused the other of violations since the ceasefire began 2 months ago. And joining us now to talk about the active shooter situation at Brown University is retired Lieutenant Colonel Darren Gobb. He's a former Black Hawk helicopter pilot and battalion commander in the U.S. Army. He's also a minister. Welcome, Darren.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Now, Colonel Gobb, based on what we know so far, how severe does this situation look to you right now?
Yeah, for now, with the initial reporting that we have, it looks like it's fairly serious. I mean, who knows what kind of damage actually got done. But based on initial reports, I would say that it seems like they're doing the right thing, locking the area down, making sure to treat the wounded first, and then looking for the person who committed this atrocity. It's unfortunately a sad testimony again to much of where American society has gone in the most recent history. Hopefully, this doesn't turn out to be as bad as the initial reports are telling us now, though.
I mean, so far we don't know the numbers. They say multiple individuals have been shot, but what kind of complications could an active shooting situation bring to law enforcement, particularly at a university?
Yeah, with a university, there's a number of things. One of them is that there's multiple places typically for people to run to, like a perpetrator could run to and hide and disappear fairly easily. This time of year, I don't know what the crowd on Brown University looks like, whether they've been released and most have gone home or if they were close to that. There is, of course, the ability to blend in, especially if the shooter's of similar age, like everybody else. They could dispose of a weapon and just become part of the crowds and disappear into that fairly simply. So the speed at which law enforcement is operating will be critical to whether or not they can control the situation from different levels of cordon, inner, outer, and maybe further away, depending on where they think they might have gone, if they even got out. And my reading into what their response time is right now, though, it looks like law enforcement reacted fairly quickly and are doing their part of this well. It doesn't make it easy, though.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like it's still ongoing. They're currently maybe reacting to this. So how soon do you think we could hear about the situation on the ground from law enforcement themselves?
I would suspect that you would hear something from an initial part from the law enforcement within 3 to 6 hours or so from now. And that's not necessarily going to be like, this is how many were affected. This is the process they're using going forward. It's going to be more about what they've already done, what little they might know that they can share, and especially if they're looking to get help from the community that that will have eyes and ears out. If this person remains on the run, then the community is going to want to know, and they're going to inform the community about what steps they should take as citizens in this area to either not be part of the problem or maybe give them a tip line or something like that to report anything they may see.
Now, Colonel Gobb, you're also a minister. We're in the holidays now, so news like this is especially terrible to hear about. How are you taking this news right now?
Well, yeah, it's always hard to hear this news regardless of the time of year. But during the holiday season, it seems like it's magnified, of course. Part of the holiday season is that most people don't fully recognize all the time is the fact that it can be a season of Great Depression as well, because there are those out there who really are on their own, and they see constant pictures or commercials, or you name it, on TV or in reality of families celebrating together and coming together to celebrate this season and all that it stands for. And that can cause some things to happen negatively, of course. Personally, this is just another tragic situation around how our society has grown over time into becoming a society that seems to be far more accepting in some cases of violence, and violence as a way of attempting to solve a problem. I don't know the details here, of course. We don't know yet. It's way too early, but it's far too commonplace now for us to sit back and accept this as normal. We need to do all we can to try to get people back into the places they should be. What us as a society, a Judeo-Christian culture founded on those kinds of ethics.
Well, we appreciate you coming on at such short notice to talk about this. Colonel Darren Gobb, thank you so much for coming on.
Thank you.
Now, Texas Governor Greg Abbott is calling on schools to expand Turning Point's Club America chapters into every high school. He's calling on Texans to report schools that block the development of these chapters, threatening consequences against schools that interfere. Abbott's move follows similar efforts by states like Tennessee and Oklahoma. What impact could the expansion of these clubs have on the young Americans? And what role has Turning Point played in the conservative movement? Joining me now to discuss is Anthony Watson, a TPUSA contributor. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much for having me.
Now, Governor Abbott said he sees these clubs as a revival of foundational values on campuses, and he's compared the conservative movement to earlier faith-based groups that once dominated student life. So, Anthony, how significant is it for these chapters to have the state's support?
Well, I wouldn't just say that it's significant. I would say it's crucial because we look at the state of our country right now, where it's going, and it seems to be declining faster and faster because a lot of people who have the knowledge to impart it to younger people either think that they're unqualified or they think that the next generation coming up behind us now is too dumb to learn anything. But what we've known, and from what I've seen with all the campuses and Club America chapter events that I've personally done for Turning Point and on my own, is that these are young people that are eager and hungry, and you need to harness that to show them how to use all of those skills in the right direction. Everything that we used to talk about of having character and morals and integrity, things that used to be ingrained into education, jobs, all of these things have now separated to now isolate people, because when people are isolated, that's when you can target them a lot easier to now make them into brainwashed robots that you're starting to see spring up everywhere. So the issue that we're having now isn't so much just politics, it's accountability, because in the heart of a young person, when there's no accountability, then they don't do anything wrong. And when there's nothing that they do that's wrong, then there's no reason for them to listen to authority. And so by us implementing this, it's bringing people back to the basics, because we're not teaching them anything new. We're just teaching them the things that are hard to learn because it's not easy. But I tell kids everywhere across the nation, the older you get, situations that you face don't get easier. Your willingness to step up and do them when no one else will is the only thing that does.
Now, the state of Texas is not the first state to align with TPUSA's values. So how far do you expect to see this movement to expand across the different states?
Well, I know it's going to pick up steam. And like anything, with everything that's good, there's always going to come a resistance and a challenge that goes against the mainstream of culture. Because I'm a Christian myself, and in Matthew, it says, enter through the narrow gate, because broad is the road and wide is the road that leads to destruction. And it says many enter through that gate, but it says narrow is the road that leads to life and very few find it. So the truth is something that if you want it, you have to look for it. But it's also something that when you find it, you don't let go of it and you hold on to it with all of your life. And so what we're starting to see now, all it takes is one. So it started in Oklahoma, it went to Tennessee, now it's in Texas. 3 states that have proven through their communities and what they've been doing are now rampant, they're vibrant, and now hopefully it's something that everybody else will now start to take hold of so that they can now start shifting their states in a positive way through the young people that are going to be the next leaders of our country.
Now, Governor Abbott has called the surge in Club America chapters a value-driven effort to shape the next generation. Now, as someone who's traveled the country with TPUSA colleges and high schools, how are these clubs changing the conversation among students who previously felt like they couldn't openly express their views?
Well, I think the first part that we like to emphasize at Turning Point by starting these clubs is by bringing like-minded people together to find more people that they have with them. Because the saying is true, there are more that are with us than that are against us. And a lot of people now are the ones that are kind of hanging back in the wings and in the shadows, waiting to see who's going to be the first people to step up and actually take charge of that. So by us starting clubs, by us having these things available for students on campus, you first talk to the people who want to be in charge to help run that. Then you help them start a club. Then after the club, you help them do events to now help their chapter grow. The whole purpose of this is to arm students with facts, stats, and data that means something to them. Because I tell everybody, it's not about what you know, because people don't care about how much you know until they know how much you care. You have to know what it is that you're fighting for, and they have to be the reasons that make sense to you. It can't be stats that you've just heard on the internet. It can't be things that you've read, because until they become real to you, it'll just be something that just fades in a debate if it comes to that. This is your livelihood and your life that you're fighting for. And if this is something that you don't think that's worth investing in, then it doesn't matter how many chapter events that we have, it's always going to be hard to get people in there. This is something that when you lead by example and you actually use these tools to improve your own life, that's when you can now impart that into the lives of your peers around you.
Now, just to expand on this a little, what role has TPUSA played in America's conservative movement overall?
I would say it's played a big part, if not the biggest part, with everything that's happened from this last election to everything that you've seen in high schools and colleges, now even going as far as grade schools through education, through our TPUSA education system that we've had, through TPUSA Faith that we've now had equipping pastors with churches to now make sure that the church now is equipped with everything to know, not just to be godly people, but to also be good citizens for America. So turning point right now has always been, and they will continue to always be invested in the next generation. It started with Charlie Kirk at the young age of 18, who just wanted better taxes for his generation that was coming up. But as the older he got, he realized it was more than just fiscal responsibility and economical advances. It was about spiritual growth, and it was about eternal salvation. So this is what we're now implementing in everything, because we can look out across all of the multitudes of people that come to our events and show up at all of our rallies and show up to our conferences, and we can just see them as people who vote. But when you look at the heart of a person to actually see what they can advance and actually partake and contribute to in the world that we find ourselves in, it's only then that you'll actually start seeing a change happen. And turning point, through everything that we've been through and everything that we're going through this past year, losing Charlie, we're more determined than ever to keep fighting and to keep pushing forward for the generation that feels like they don't have anyone standing up for them right now.
Now, as you've said, we're already seeing a rapid expansion of this movement, and soon TPUSA will have its first America Fest conference since the death of founder Charlie Kirk. Now, here's his wife, Erica Kirk, speaking on the upcoming conference.
It's going to be massive. We sold out within hours, so we are at max capacity. We have students, families, the best of the best in the industry that are going to be there pouring into everyone.
Now, how significant will this upcoming event be for TPUSA?
Well, the line in the sand has been drawn. So that everyone who's attending, they're all coming for an answer of what's next. And I keep telling everybody, we already know what's next, because we know what the issues and challenges are that we have to face. So it's not about what's next. The call that I'm hoping that a lot of people will answer at this conference coming up is who's next? Who's going to pick up the mic? Who's going to take a stand? Who's going to be the next person to actually go out there and actually put themselves out there for everybody else to follow as a leader who's willing to put it all on the line to live the life that they know that they deserve to live in the country that we call home. And I want everyone who comes to America Fest not only to just get lost in the hype of being proud Americans, but also to remember what it is to fight for something, because the reference and the people that we hold in reverence that went before us and sacrificed everything died in warfare for a country that they didn't even get to live in afterwards when the war was over. And I tell everybody, if you don't do it for any reason, do it for this one. If we lose the United States of America, where do we go? So this is a call to action. It's a memorial. It's a time of remembrance. It's a time to get together and to come together to appreciate and love to love Charlie for everything that he's done. But also it's a reminder that we still have work to do. And, we heard it here. We sold out in minutes after telling everyone that they needed to come. So everyone here is eager. Now it's just telling everybody else that we all have a job to do. So if you're coming, come ready to have fun, but also get ready to work when the conference is over.
Now, Anthony, while I have you here, I want to shift to the tragic news we've heard this evening. Multiple people shot at Brown University. You, as well as all your colleagues at TPUSA, know all too well the grief caused by this kind of senseless violence. So what words would you share with students at Brown this evening?
Well, my only message to them is this, is that it's not a matter of if you're going to die or how you're going to die. The only thing that's guaranteed in life from the time you're born until you've lived to this present date is death itself. And that's not to be morbid, that's not to say anything else. It's to give people a wake up call to know that our lives aren't guaranteed. We don't know how or when the time will come, but we do know that it's coming. And it's always when something comes out of nowhere that it takes everybody else by surprise to let us know that we're not here forever. So in the time that we have, it's sad that we see what's happening. When mass casualties happen, it's sad and it's tragic. When one person is sorely taken from us, it's one too many. So my message tonight is clear. It's in this holiday season of joy. Be joyful knowing that you have a heavenly Father who loves you and gave himself for you so that even if you meet your end here on earth, you can still enjoy paradise with him afterwards through his son, Jesus Christ. And that's the only message that matters more than anything nowadays. It supersedes politics. It supersedes entertainment. It supersedes anything because the world right now is desperately looking for peace, and that's the only person who can give it to you.
All right, Anthony Watson, thank you so much for that message, and thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Coming up in college football, it's the Heisman Trophy presentation with a certain Indiana star looking to make school history. NTD's Dave Martin joins us to discuss. And do the rewards of boxing justify the dangers of concussion and blunt force trauma? A USA boxing team physician and a former professional boxer offer their insights into the pros and cons of the sport when we come back. Now for some updates on the Brown University campus shooting. The situation remains very fluid. The university earlier said there was a secondary shooting incident near Governor Street, and just now they sent out an update saying that report was unfounded. The university also confirmed that multiple people were shot and said they don't have more information about their condition other than that they've been transported to local hospitals. We'll continue to keep you updated. For your sports news, we're joined by NTD's Dave Martin. Dave, good to see you.
Good to see you, Arlene.
Sorry all the bad news, but at least we're going to talk about some sports now to liven things up.
Yeah, no, it's always puts you in a good mood, right? Talking about sports, you can kind of forget about any problems of the day, at least for me. Anyway.
Yeah, so let's get to that. Let's skip past the college sports and get right into the NFL, because I know you want to talk about the Indianapolis Colts signing 44-year-old retired quarterback Phillip Rivers this week, and he's been retired for 5 years. So is he going to start on Sunday?
You know, the team still hasn't said. I mean, but Colts head coach Shane Steichen certainly made it sound like it was a good possibility. You know, he said Rivers was pretty good in practice this week, added it was very impressive to watch. I mean, it's such an incredible story. Colts lose their top two quarterbacks to injury. Their third stringer, meanwhile, he's a rookie. And he ended up injuring his knee. We're not actually sure the extent of that, but it's either him or Rivers gets the start tomorrow against the Seahawks. Now, meanwhile, Steichen, their head coach, this is quite a story. He's very good friends with Phillip Rivers from his days with the Chargers when he was an offensive coordinator there. So Rivers still knows the plays very well. And Rivers played his final season then with the Colts. The organization is familiar with him. Because of all that, it makes this reunion a possibility, and we might actually see it tomorrow. Now, Rivers was also a semifinalist for the 2026 Hall of Fame class, but because he was put on the active roster today, he is now ineligible for that 2026 class. He will be eligible for the 2031. You've got to be retired for 5 years. Now, Rivers was asked about it that week. He didn't seem too bothered about it. He's kind of chill about it. I think everybody knows he's going to get in one way or the other. This is probably his first year eligible. Yeah. So well, 2031 for him. Probably.
It's going to be exciting, I guess, for his high school students.
Yeah.
See their coach, right?
Right. He's been coaching high school for the last 5 years. I mean, he retired right after the 2020 season. He's doing high school football. I would think it would be awesome to see your coach out there playing in the NFL.
Yeah, that's nice. All right, so let's shift to college basketball. We have a number of games going on today. Where do they stand?
Well, no big upsets so far, but probably the best matchup we've had is 17th ranked Arkansas being number 16, Texas Tech 93-86 this afternoon. Let's take a look here. Red Raiders actually led by 6 points at the half. Razorbacks, though, owned the second half. 5 players in this game scored 20 points or more. Now, elsewhere, Big East power St. John's beat Iona 91-64 as Rick Pitino's current team beat his former one. No surprise there. Also, number 6 Purdue beat Marquette 79-59. Boilermakers now 9-1 here early in the season. Let's look at some more scores here. 14th ranked North Carolina beat South Carolina upstate 80-62. Tar Heels now 9-1 as well. In the SEC, defending national champion Florida beat George Washington 80-70. And in a Big Ten battle, ninth ranked Michigan State won a close one at Penn State 76-72. Tom Izzo Spartans now 9-1 as well. Tonight we got plenty more action, including number 1 Arizona taking on 12th ranked Alabama. That's at 9:30 Eastern time. Then at 11:30, 25th ranked UCLA takes on number 8 Gonzaga. Now these two have combined for some classics just over the past few seasons. Maybe we get another one tonight, although you got to stay up late if you're going to watch that one.
Well, I don't know. I need my shut-eye.
I'll let you know if it's a good one. Okay?
Thank you. Now, speaking of Arizona, we're looking at college football news. Head coach Kenny Dillingham reportedly close to a contract extension.
Yeah, this is according to a report by Sun Devil source. Now, Dillingham is just 35 years old. He's already proven to be a very good coach. Led the Sun Devils to the playoffs last year, went 8-4 this season. Now, already the rumor mill is swirling that Michigan might be interested in hiring him after firing Sharon Moore this week. Wolverines are kind of in a tough spot because, the coaching carousel has already turned this offseason. You had big positions at LSU, Florida, Penn State. They've already been filled. Admittedly, this is maybe the most prestigious job available, though. Elsewhere, though, in college football today, we had the annual Army-Navy game. Navy won that one 17-16 with Trump there in attendance. We also had the first bowl game of the season. South Carolina State beat Prairie View 40-38 in the Cricket Celebration Bowl. And tonight,
Cricket?
I know, right? And tonight, you're gonna love this one. Tonight, Washington plays Boise State in the Bucked Up LA Bowl at 8 p.m. Eastern time. So the very unusual name.
Yeah, where are they getting these names from?
They just sell the names to whoever the highest bidder is. I'm guessing, that's the way it seems to be to me.
Oh, well, it must be fun to do these names.
Yeah.
Now we're going to stay with college football because we got the Heisman Trophy presentation tonight. Who are the finalists?
Yeah, we've got 4 finalists here, 3 of them quarterbacks, 1 running back. Now, probably the odds-on favorite, Indiana quarterback Fernando Mendoza. Now, he's led the Hoosiers to their first ever #1 ranking. He led the NCAA in touchdown passes with 33 this year. He already won the AP Player of the Year, so maybe some foreshadowing here, but no Indiana player has ever won this award. Now also, you've got Vanderbilt quarterback Diego Pavia. He led the Commodores to their first ever 10-win season. And then Buckeyes quarterback Julian Sand, he was second in touchdown passes, led Ohio State to a 12-1 record. Finally, Notre Dame running back Jeremiah Love, he was 4th in rushing yards this year, had a number of highlight runs for the Fighting Irish, who somehow missed out on the playoffs there at the end. A very tough call by the committee. But no running back has won this award since Derrick Henry back in 2015. I think Mendoza is kind of thought of the odds-on favorite to win, but we'll have to see. It gets announced here at 7 p.m. Eastern time tonight, so coming up very soon.
Well, do you have a favorite?
I do. I think it's Mendoza. I mean, I think he's had a tremendous season, although all these guys really have.
He's the quarterback?
He's the quarterback for Indiana. I mean, this is the Indiana this year and last year is our best 2 seasons in school history. So I say it's Mendoza.
All right, well, we'll see what happens tonight. Thank you, Dave, so much for your report as usual.
Thank you, Arlene.
All right. This coming week, boxing sensation Jake Paul is set to face 2-time heavyweight champion Anthony Joshua in what could be the toughest fight in his career. From world-famous stars like Muhammad Ali and Mike Tyson to blockbuster films like Rocky and Creed, boxing is as much a sport as it is a cultural icon in the U.S. But does its popularity and sporting value justify the physical risk the athletes themselves? In this episode of Vital Signs, USA boxing team physician Dr. Barry Jordan and former professional boxer Antonio Graceffo joined host Brendan Fallon to offer their insights into the pros and cons of the sport.
On this topic of boxing, Dr. Jordan, This is a sport that has a cult status alongside its value as its recognition as a major sport, and the money it brings in and everything like that. It's almost, if you look at film, going back to the Rocky series in the 70s, all the way to the Creed spin-off of the Rocky series now, this fascination with this sport hasn't waned over 40 years or more. And it's often seen, it's like a metaphor for the human spirit. I guess it's something about someone getting beaten to the point of being knocked out, or just the battering that can come with boxing, and the potential to still stand up and keep going. I guess there's something that people find inspiring in that. But we also have, alongside that, probably the potential to get more injured than any other sport. So I'm interested to know what value, do you see a value in boxing?
Okay, that's a very good question. First of all, boxing has declined in popularity over the years, and it's been somewhat overshadowed by mixed martial arts, or UFC, Ultimate Fighting. In terms of the value of boxing, as any other sport, boxing affords the athlete the opportunity to socialize, and sometimes it gives them the opportunity to change their social condition. Although that's not the argument that I use why I participate in the sport as a physician, I think that is an important issue. It can improve someone's social economic status. It keeps kids out of trouble, gives them something to do. But that's the same with any sport. Any sport usually helps kids stay out of trouble, basically. The reason why I participated in the sport as a physician and being a neurologist was that I felt that someone needed to provide care to these athletes that may sustain brain injury. I didn't think it's fair to totally abandon care for them because someone doesn't care about the sport. I think they should be afforded the best medical care. Boxing will never be able to be 100% safe. That's just impossible. But I always believed that you can make it safer. And I think over the last 3 to 4 decades that I've been involved with boxing, we've made it safer.
Are you aware of someone that you've helped or worked with who's had that experience where it's kind of lifted them out of a difficult economic situation?
Yes, I've seen plenty of boxers. But more importantly, it's probably the social situation that helps them more. There's a misconception that boxers tend to make a lot of money. There's only a few select boxers that really make a lot of money from boxing. But I've seen boxing turn around athletes' lives. Instead of being on the streets and gangs, they're in the gym. And I think that makes a big difference. And, being involved with boxing for almost 40 years, it's a family. Boxing is a family. And I personally have met many great people through the field of boxing. And I think it's a great social vehicle for the athletes, for the officials, or anybody else that's involved.
Is there sufficient value there in boxing to make up for the kind of danger that is present? And what is that value?
I think there is. I think that amateur boxing is wonderful, and kids grow up, because remember that probably, I don't know the percentage, let's say it's 90% or more of kids that even if they grow up competing in amateur boxing, even if they're avid competitors, there's almost no university programs in the United States for boxing. There's the service academies, the military service academies, maybe 2 or 3 other universities have boxing. So for the most part, when they graduate high school, they're going to go off to college, they're never going to box again, and they're probably never going to have any trauma. Very few of them will turn pro. So we're talking about a really incredibly small percentage of people that will then turn pro, and then a much smaller that are going to get this head trauma. It's just in some people, it actually caused negative effects.
Having read part of the paper that you wrote in 1988 on the subject of safety measures for boxing, one of these was to wear headgear, head protection. Another one was to have a ring physician present with the potential to stop the bout. I can see that this obviously would have a safety would improve safety, but it could also cut into finances and the kind of economic gain from boxing if a bout can just be stopped like that. What's your opinion on that?
Well, I have a strong opinion about that. I think when you deal with boxing, outside of the finances, the most important thing is not the finances, but is the health and safety of the boxer. That comes number one.
To see that full interview and others on how to optimize health, go to ept.ms/vital signs. Vital Signs offers general health information not intended as medical diagnosis or advice. Please consult your doctor before undertaking a new health regimen.
Coming up, decorating the house, cooking holiday treats. We all have our family traditions. White House cabinet members' wives share how they make the holidays memorable. And a new exhibition in Bologna, Italy details the life and career of Michelangelo. We take a look at lesser-known sculptures, drawings, and original letters from the Renaissance master after the break. The latest on the Brown University shooting. Local law enforcement have just updated the public on the incident. Police confirmed that 2 victims have unfortunately passed away. Another 8 shooting victims are in critical but stable conditions at local hospitals. Police emphasize that they do not have a suspect in custody at this moment, and the shelter-in-place order remains in effect. University officials are urging students to follow that strictly and stay out of the restricted area. Providence police say they are aware of a suspect who is a male dressed in black, and they are using every resource possible to find him.
I can confirm that there are 2 individuals who have died this afternoon, and there are another 8 in critical status, those stable, at Rhode Island Hospital. Those are the only injuries or casualties that we know at this time.
What to do for the holidays? We all have our traditions, and in a social media push, the wives of White House cabinet members decided to share some of what makes the season special.
Hi, I am Cheryl Hines. I am married to Robert Kennedy Jr., who is the Secretary of HHS. We have a very big family, so the holidays is a really fun time for us, and we like to have a talent show. Not everybody's as talented as they wish they were, but it doesn't stop us from singing at the top of our lungs or doing some crazy dance, but we always have a really good time together.
My name is Marlo Greer, and my husband is Jameson Greer, the U.S. Trade Representative. And my favorite holiday tradition is dancing in the Nutcracker with my young son and daughter. We love to practice at our home and then to dance around and perform each year.
My name is Allison Lutnick, and my husband is Howard Lutnick, the Secretary of Commerce. My favorite holiday tradition is lighting Hanukkah candles with my children. They're approaching 30 now, so we don't do chocolate dreidels or 8 nights of gifts anymore, though.
My name is Lisa Collins. My husband is Douglas Collins. He is the Secretary of Veterans Affairs. And our favorite holiday tradition is collecting Christmas ornaments. Everywhere we have been in 37 years have a special tree for those places, and they're all dated as a remembrance of where we've been and how far we've come.
So my name is Jeanette Rubio. My husband is Marco Rubio, the Secretary of State. I would say that our family tradition is we, as a family, we go to midnight mass. That's something that's very important to us. We celebrate it together because we want to keep what the purpose of Christmas is.
I'm Catherine Burgum, and I'm the wife of Secretary of the Interior, Doug Burgum. And our favorite holiday tradition is making lefse. And some people don't have any idea what that is, but that's actually a Norwegian flatbread. That's a tradition around the holidays.
My favorite traditions are cutting the Christmas tree down, which we do live every year on the weekend after Thanksgiving usually, and that's always a big family event. And the other thing is during Advent, every night we turn down the lights and we light candles, the candle for each week, and we sing O Come Emmanuel together. And the kids, especially when they're little, just love it. The lights are down, the candles are going, and again, it's a moment where we come together in prayer, and it's so special, and the music, that it's just, again, another reminder of why we do what we do, which is Christmas is about Jesus' birth.
A new exhibition in Bologna, Italy details the life and career of Michelangelo. Rare sculptures, drawings, and original letters by the Italian master highlight the artist's connection to the city. NTD's Andrew Thomas has the details.
In the galleries of Palazzo Fava, the Madonna of the Stairs, Michelangelo carved the piece in 1491 when he was still a teenager. Study on a draped figure hangs nearby. The new exhibition is entitled Michelangelo in Bologna.
The exhibition aims to be very narrative because these are like two stories from the same biography, that of Michelangelo, which is rich, varied, and long, having lived to the age of 89. So we find him as a young debutante and relatively serene in this first year in Bologna. We find him, however, much more tired and tormented as a 30-year-old.
The first part of the exhibition focuses on Michelangelo's arrival in Bologna in 1494. He arrived in the city at only 20 years old, fleeing political instability in Florence. At the time, he was commissioned for 3 statues for the Ark of San Domenico and the Basilica of San Domenico.
An experience in Bologna born of trauma, the fear that the different political regime was hostile and dangerous to him. However, it soon became a work experience when Aldrovandi secured for him what was perhaps the most prestigious commission possible for a young sculptor in Bologna.
The exhibition moves to Michelangelo's work from 1506 to 1508. By that time, he was already an established sculptor.
The second stay is important because he must regain the favor of Pope Julius II. There had been a disagreement between the two of them. Michelangelo suddenly left Rome because of how he had been treated by the pontiff. And at this point, in the end, Julius II called him to Bologna, recently conquered by his army.
The exhibition also includes correspondence between Michelangelo and his brother Buonarrota in Florence. The letter provides a glimpse into the artist's daily life, struggles, and aspirations. The exhibition, Michelangelo and Bologna, runs at Palazzo Fava until February 15, 2026. Andrew Thomas, NTD News.
And that's the news for this evening. Thank you for tuning in. I'm Arlene Richards. Good night.